I'm taking it. Me?
Go on then.
Am I taking it, yeah?
Yeah, go on.
All right, okay. Well, have we started now, yeah?
Yeah, we're live now.
Oh, we're live.
That camera there.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah, and speaking to that.
Hello, everybody!
Very good.
Is that close enough to the mic?
Just come a little bit. You're going to be talking to me as well.
Oh, right, okay. I have to look at you and do that.
Look at the camera and me. Think, like...
And they say men can't multitask?
Exactly.
Well, we can multitask because we are Scotty and Motty back for another show to chat about all things Manchester United. But we've been watching recently. I've been challenging Jay to some Scotty survey. We're going to get a graphic on the screen right now.
Scotty survey.
There we go. This is where I offer you a conundrum.
Oh, well, I like that.
And
I like a nice conundrum.
You've got to give me an answer by the end of the show, and people in the comments can get involved. So I watched Space Jam recently, the remake.
I went to cinema to see that.
It's terrible.
Shite.
It's so bad.
LeBron James is no Michael Jordan.
No, who is?
Very true.
No, but I mean, LeBron James is a great athlete and stuff, but he wasn't.
No, he's not. He's not that guy, is he?
But it got me thinking, if they were to do a Space Jam in the football sphere,
right? Okay.
Who would you want to play the sports hero in that?
The hero?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
So which footballer would you have?
Yeah, as the hero of Space Jam.
It has to be a Premier League footballer.
A current Premier League footballer?
Well, a Premier League, somebody who's played in the Premier League.
Right, okay. Yeah, I've already got an answer, but
you're not going Cantona.
Oh, you're a spoiled sport. Why not?
Because I want more drama. Who would you have if we're doing Space Jam? The Looney Tunes are playing football instead of basketball.
Who would you have as the monsters? That's what you got to think about as well.
Oh yeah.
Because he has the baddies, doesn't he? Well, not the baddies. He has he makes his team out of other players as well, doesn't he? Is that what happens in the new one? I can't remember.
Because that's Charles Barkley, not that in the original one.
Yeah, and who else is that? Oh, Patrick Ewing's in it as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's because that's a story in it. He doesn't get Michael Jordan.
Oh, so he could have all the baddies. He'd have like Sergio Ramos and all that.
Yeah. So he makes his own little team.
I'm surprised that people haven't made that. And if they do, then they should really sort of throw some dollars our way.
Yeah, well, we've come up painting that idea. We've come up with that idea. So if you do, I want a story by Scotty and Motty credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
There's not that many good football films, is there, to be fair?
What's your favourite football film?
I'm not going to say Escape to Victory because it's not that.
Why?
It's just shit.
What?
It's crap.
Do you know what? Escape to Victory. I don't think
there's a good...
Do you know what? The only thing with Escape to Victory, I don't want to be that guy, but I don't know where Pele thinks he's going at the end of that film. You're going. You put as many hats and coats on you want, son. Yeah. You're going fucking nowhere in Nazi-occupied France, son. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but it ain't gonna work. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be horrible, but let's be real here. But no, I like Escape to Victory. I mean, come on, where else can you have Bobby Moore and Sylvester Stallone and Pele in a film?
It's a good point.
Defeating the Nazis. Come on, hey, they can escape, but no, come on, let's go back out for the second half. It's not like we're getting murdered, Skipper. Even though it's Mike Somerville that says that line and he's a blue, I don't mind it.
Yeah,
it's class.
I can't think of any others though.
Mike Bassett, England manager.
It's all right. It's over time. I think he's aged very well.
It's not a football film, but I think the greatest football scene in a film is Kes.
Yes.
That's
I
fantastic.
think so.
That.
That's great.
Did you ever have a PE teacher like that?
No, our PE teacher was like virgin on Nancy.
Really?
Yeah, he used to suck his finger and then ram it down your ear if you didn't perform well. He referred to it as like wet willy.
Wet willy. Oh yeah, everyone's doing a wet willy. Your teacher used to give you wet willy.
Your teacher used to give you a wet willy though. That's the problem.
Mate, that's a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah, if you'd like to hear more about that, it is in my book that's available in all good bookshops now called Mancunians. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Football, what's happening?
It's Mancunians. Where do we start? Where do I begin? Innit?
Yes.
I don't know why, right? Because I turned this channel into an advert for your book for about 3 months. And I make no apologies for that because I'm in his books, I'm allowed to. So Stephen Howson, so he's not going to argue with me. And McCullough and Joe were happy with it because they've read the book and they like it. And I always used to get nervous about saying that bit.
Why?
I always used to think, right, I don't know why, but I've read it, obviously, a lot, and I knew it was where do I start, where do we begin? But I'd always bottle it and just say it's called Mancunians, and I'd never say that second bit. I don't know what it is. It was
I can never remember it. I'm glad you did.
Do you know what I mean? It was weird.
I didn't come up with that bit.
I'd have the book there. Yeah. That book did not leave this desk for about 2 months. I was literally going, and then link in the description. And I'd always go, it's called Mancunians by my good friend David Scott. I'm in it as well. Steve's in it. It's great, commentating on what happened in the sort of early noughties with Manchester United and with the culture of Manchester and all the rest of it. But I'd bottle the bit and say, where do we start? Where do I start? See, I've got it wrong now. Where do I start? Where do we begin? Yeah, so just thought I'd share that with you.
Oh, cheers. Chemical Brothers lyric.
Is it? Mm. You know what I love about that book as well? The cover. Obviously, the content's amazing, especially the bits with me in it.
No, the cover's really good, and you put me on the spot because I forgot the photographer's name.
Oh, have I? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that, bro. I would not have done that. Well, I'll tell you a little story about it, I think, because did my missus ever see that picture of me in Waterstones with it the other week?
No.
Me and her went into Waterstones, and she caught me reading it. She's like, why are you reading that? You've got that over. And she went, you're looking for the bits of unit, aren't you? And I went, yeah, and I found it. Because I know where they are. I thought she sent it to you because she took a picture of me in Waterstones reading your book.
No, she didn't send me. But that's almost as embarrassing as being found to sort of take it off a shelf and put it back on the table on top of other people's books.
I don't blame you for that.
No.
Is that what you do?
And then people are like, I'm here to sign the books. I know, not arranged. I'm here to sign the books. Get one of them stickers. Get them stickers.
Yeah, come here. Playing this to go around. Some kid who's got an Harry Potter under his arm. Get rid of that. Give me that. We'll sign this for you, son. We're making it out to him. Yeah. I don't want this book. Shut up. Yeah, you do. Mate, I'll go on about all the time. No, I think that's elite having a book. You've written a book, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't like that. Come on. No. It is. It's ace. You know when I slip this mortal coil. All that's going to be left of me is a load of videos about maybe we're going to sign Jadon Sancho.
Yeah.
And then when we sign Jadon Sancho, well, you've got like an actual book that you've written. So, yeah, I like it. We should write a book.
We should. Yeah. Well, yeah, we should do. Yeah.
Watch this space. And if you think I turned your book into an advert for this channel, or this channel, Stretford Panic into an advert for your book, wait until me and you write one. Yes. Jesus Christ.
Let's get to it. Anyway, let's talk about pressing matters. The game yesterday, I didn't see all of it, so it was a hard-fought victory.
Yeah, it wasn't a nice watch, to be honest with you. The result was good, and the goals were great. I love the fact Hojlund's getting on the score sheet regularly. It's his 5th goal in 5 games now. He's the youngest player in Premier League history, the second youngest player in Premier League history to do that, other than Nicolas Anelka was the youngest. Well, he did it when he was 19, so Hojlund's the second youngest to do 5 consecutive goals in 5 consecutive games. So big props to him. He stuck with it. Scott McTominay, listen, I'm not going to pretend that I've always been his biggest fan as a starter for Manchester United, but as a sub, I think he's very effective, and his record speaks for itself in terms of the goals he's got, and the fact he's won us 12 points with his goals, which is phenomenal.
I mean, United put a post out earlier on, or the admin did, and they said something about the clutch game or something like that.
Coming up clutch and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, well, he comes up when you need him done, and he's done that. And I think this season, it's Heung-min Son's got 10 points for his team. Then it's Dominic Solanke on 9, and Scott McTominay's got 12. So if you're scoring 8 goals and say 5 of them have come in an 8-2 win, then that's not really, it doesn't mean as much. But he's spread his goals out, and a lot of them, like you mentioned earlier, have been match-winning ones. Yeah.
Is there a worry though with that we're relying on Scott McTominay as our sort of get-out clause? It's great that we've got that in the locker room, that it works when it's called upon. But there was some sort of people going back and forth on social media saying, he's only got Scott McTominay to come off the bench and try and change the game. That's not me. I know you're not. There's a lot of people that were complaining before they took him on, and then had a lot of egg on their face afterwards because obviously it worked.
I don't mind that. I don't mind it if it's effective. And also, I think you have to look at it in context. Like, there's some games you look at Brentford at home. We shouldn't be relying on Scott McTominay to score in the 93rd and 95th minute to get us a win, right? I think that's a bit embarrassing. I'm not criticising him, obviously, I'm glad he did it, but I just think come on, we need to better than that. Villa Park, I know we've got a great record though, but it's a tough ground to go to. It really is. They're flying high in the league for a reason. I think up until recently, they'd won every game there this season. They've been on a record-breaking run. Now they're having a little bit of a wobble. Newcastle got a win there, Chelsea got a win there in the Cup. We've obviously got a win there. So they're having a wobbly one, but it is a difficult ground to go to. And there's nothing wrong with doing a little bit of a smash and grab in getting a late winner. I've seen United teams under Fergie go to places like Charlton and Bolton and get wins like that. So it's not too grim in this context, but I understand the concern because you can't just rely on Scott McTominay to pop up for goals. But I think if you look at what Rasmus Hojlund's doing, I think Garnacho and Rashford weren't quite at the races yesterday, but they have been amongst the goals recently as well. Obviously, Kobbie Mainoo is the greatest footballer I've ever seen. Yeah. And defensively, we're missing Martinez, but Harry Maguire comes in and he gets man of the match. So there's reasons to be positive without getting too carried away, and there's reasons to question it without being too pessimistic.
Yeah.
I think the real test for me is these next 2 games. I think we've got Fulham at home and we've got Luton away. and then we've got Forest in the cup, then it's City, the Etihad. So if I'm being brutally honest, and it pains me to say it, I don't think we'll get anything out of the City game. So we need to be getting 6 points off Fulham and Luton, and it's not going to be easy, especially going to Kenilworth Road, because they've got a decent-ish record there, and even when they've lost there, they've made it very, very difficult for teams. They don't tend to get beat by more than one goal. I think they got beat at the weekend. It might have been by more than one because it was a bit of an outlier. But like even teams like Liverpool, I think they got a draw there. I think Chelsea's sort of scraped a win there. And
we don't travel well to them sort of grounds anyway.
No, we don't. So it's a very difficult ground to go to. So yeah, I just hope we can sort of build on this little bit of momentum. 3 straight wins is it now that we've got. The fact that Rasmus Hojlund's scoring goals as well. The fact that even though we're missing Martinez, and I think he's our most important player under Eric Ten Hag, Maguire has come in and got man of the match, or player of the match, I should say. It's this. I keep saying this sort of expression like there's light in the tunnel, little green shoots.
Yeah, there's certain cause to maybe start getting a little bit of optimism. Top 4 is a possibility.
Because you're right. You're like the no, I wouldn't say cynical. That's not fair.
I get shit slung at me every week because I'm willing to criticize.
I don't think cynical. Yeah, I don't think cynical. I think pragmatic is probably fairer.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think because
I like just asking the questions just because just for a focus of debate. They're not always my opinions, and this is what I
remember with the whole Qatar takeover. You did that.
Yeah.
You didn't want Qatar, but you argued the case for
just to try, just for the argument.
And I remember people saying like, "Why is he pro Qatar?" I'm like, he's not. You read his Twitter, but he's asking the question, which I like that, and I think you should always do that. Even though I just turn my old social media into an echo chamber of people that agree with me. I feel bad sometimes because I mute people who might even like being that argumentative. They just slightly disagree with me. Like you can get muted because I can't be asked. I just want loads of sycophants who agree with me. We'll get some comments and then we'll get into. I will ask you a few more questions as well. I don't know if I can read that one, but I get your point. Santa Notch says, dreams never end. Paul Jill says, hello lads, haven't caught the live in a while. Love the content. Keep up the great work, boys. Vicky Whitterbird's in the chat, says, good evening, lovely people. Robert Tater says, Scotty getting back on the McSauce. There you go. There's a nice little play on words there. Ryan Yanni, who was answering your question, says Rooney, obviously. Tyler Wood says no brainer. Boring James Milner as a monster. Lee New says Diego Forlan played like his powers were gone most of the time. He went to Spain though, didn't he? Absolutely smashed it. And the World Cup. Yeah. You talk about someone who just blossomed once he left United. Tyler Wood says Jose Mourinho as the manager. There's a big interview coming up with a minute though with our mate Stephen Howson. Jace Parker says evening Jay, evening David. Lovely to see you both. Brian Casey says, evening Scotty and Motty. I hope you're well. Best Hijacker says, finally caught this live. Cheers from New York. Emmett Toner says, Scotty, what is the name of the book? Mancunians, where do we start? Where do I begin? Is that the right way around? It's one of them ways. Where do I begin? Where do we start? Where do I start? Where do we begin? Something like that. It is available in America. Is it? Yeah. John Shin's got a copy of it. Is he in it? I know he's not in it, is he? What are we on about? Did you send him a copy? No, he bought one himself. It's where do we start? Where do I begin? I'm glad someone did. See, I got that right, and then I think I didn't do you any favours because I think I started getting it wrong halfway through our conversation earlier. Vic says I'm one of them with egg on my face, obviously referring I think there to Scott McTominay. Do you think people have been fair with Scott McTominay? Because it's weird this, right, with McTominay, because he's obviously smashing his season, 8 goals, 12 points. We've been in trouble without him. But does that necessarily mean that those of us, and I say us because I was one of them, who questioned him starting, were wrong? No, because I don't think that Scott McTominay starting games is as impactful or gets the results as much as he does when he comes off the bench. I think he's a better player for Manchester United in that sense. Bang him up front, because I think sometimes when he's playing centre midfield, there's a lot more cause for concern with his positional play and his running around. He looks like he's a very busy cat who does absolutely nothing. No, I think he's more disruptive than he is playing a whole 90 minutes, but coming off the bench and scoring the goals, that's the best place that Scott McTominay can thrive as a Manchester United player. But he isn't, I mean, his level, his ceiling isn't high enough. No, I agree with all of that, to be honest with you. I think from the bench, hugely effective. What happened with McTominay was, he got, I think it was the 2 goals at Brentford, and then he was in the team money for like the next, I think it was about the next 12 games, or whatever, or 10 games.
Well, he had that run in the international break as well, didn't he? I think he scored against Spain as well, and he didn't get a brace against Spain.
Yeah, so he was absolutely smashing it with goals this season for both club and country. But I think in terms of the Premier League, what happened was he scored those. It was the 2 goals against Brentford, then the 1 goal against Sheffield United as well. And then what happened is I'm just going to count this. I know it's not great watching someone count on a live, but bear with me. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I think there was 1 in Europe as well. I think it was 10 in total. It might have been 2 in Europe. Games where he started, played the full 90 minutes, and for all but 1 of those games he didn't score. So he's got a goal in the game, 2 goals in the game against Chelsea. So again, but it's like, was it worth the other 9 games that he played in where he didn't score or assist?
Yeah.
Were his performances good enough to warrant it? No. But then he goes back on the bench, and then what happens? If you look, he comes on against Wolves, he gets a goal. He comes on against West Ham, he gets an assist, and he comes on against Villa, and he gets a goal. So in his last 3 games from the bench, he's gotten you either a goal or an assist. He's got a goal involvement in every game.
I think with that, what it is, and I'm not dissing Scott McTominay's IQ, but his objective when he's coming on for 10, 15 minutes left to play is to get in and around the box, cause problems, maybe get a goal or get an assist. When you're playing 90 minutes, you're in that midfield, it's all about control.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's got that upstairs to be able to dictate a game. From the evidence of what I've seen on the pitch and that we were trying to sell him in the summer would suggest that Ten Hag doesn't think that he can do that. But still on the flip side is Ten Hag, like he can be quite loyal to players when they've had a decent performance and then put them in, which can be to the detriment of him, because a lot of people were saying after McTominay did score them goals, the performances weren't there and neither were the goals, and yet Ten Hag was sticking with him.
No, I this is the thing. And like someone's made a great point here. Samuel Pickens says, your point is completely backed up by how much better we've looked with Mainoo and Casemiro behind Bruno. That midfield looks like a midfield that works.
Yes,
it's not
there's no question marks.
But you can see where everyone fits into that role. You can see the absolute quality that Kobbie Mainoo brings to the team. I think you'd be absolutely insane to even contemplate dropping him. Casemiro, you're not going to drop Casemiro. And Bruno, you're not going to drop him. Like, that's your midfield. So the only way you're going to get McTominay into the team is maybe you move Bruno on to the right and play McTominay as like a number 10. Does that work though? Are you going to drop Garnacho? Probably not. So it doesn't work for me. What you need is a midfield that's balanced, which is what we got. And you need options off the bench. And another thing that goes in McTominay's favour, and this isn't a criticism, this is sort of a compliment. When you look at our bench, there's no real match winners there. No. I look at our bench and I go, Omari Forson's just a kid. I'm not knocking him. I hope he's going to be a fantastic footballer for Manchester United. Right now, he's not that guy. I know he had an involvement in Kobbie Mainoo's goal and he did well, but I don't think get Forson on, that's going to get us the winner. You look at Anthony. We've spoke about Anthony ever since he arrived. Had a decent start, has fell off a bit of a cliff. Offers next to nothing, in my opinion, attacking-wise. You may disagree, that's fine. But I don't look at Anthony and think, you get him off the bench, you're going to get a goal and assist. And the stats prove me on that front. Then you look at who else you've got. Sofian Amrabat. Is he an attacking player? Is he going to get... Andy Martial's not even on the bench anymore because he's injured again. Who am I missing? I'm probably missing someone. Eriksen, sorry, yeah. Obviously, Christian Eriksen. Great player. Can help you get control of a game. Can help dictate the tempo of a game. Can create chances and create things. But he's not necessarily someone who gets you goals and assists. He's more likely to be involved in the build-up to a goal. So I'm not against bringing Eriksen on when you're chasing a game, but he's not someone you go, right, get Eriksen on and we'll get that winner. It's not that open and shut for me. Whereas McTominay, I do feel like there's always that puncher's chance. If you get him on, he'll get you a goal.
He knows where the net is, isn't there? And I think as well, which is credit to Scott McTominay, because it'd be easy to be demoted to the bench and lose out to Kobbie Mainoo in the midfield, for him to sort of throw his toys out the pram.
I've been impressed with his attitude.
Do you know what I mean? Because his attitude, you have to have a sort of level of anticipation for what's coming up and be watching the games to see where the pockets are within the box to where you're going to make the most impact in the limited time you've got. So all the credit for him. And you need a variety of tools in your locker if you are to be a successful coach. Fergie had it with Solskjaer, for Christ's sake. Do you know what I mean? That's super subs.
No one looked at Fergie and went, well, he's run out of ideas, hasn't he? Like when I know it's different because obviously we were winning things and we didn't have a goal difference of 0. But you use what you've got at your disposal.
Yeah.
Now, Erik ten Hag obviously wanted a striker in January, didn't get one. Andy Martial is injured again, and even when he's not injured, isn't exactly tearing up any trees. He's limited in what he's got, Erik ten Hag. So he looks at it, go, I've got a player here who I can use from the bench, who's happy to come off the bench. And if I use him in the right way, if I say to him, look, go and get forward. You saw that goal against Villa where it was him and Hojlund who were in the box, wasn't it? Like, he was basically a striker for that, not as soon as he came on, but for that sort of passage of play. So I ain't got a problem with that. A couple of other comments. Andy's Cardboard Star Wars says, hey up lads, Scotty isn't good enough to start in the Premier. Jay Motlar 84 says, I love Jay, I love you too, brother. Jay's Parker says, McTominay off the bench as a last choice option is totally worth it for me. Lee New says, is Scott McTominay the modern day Darren Gibson?
Darren Gibson?
I love Darren Gibson.
Did you?
G-bomb. Oh, mate, come on. What couldn't you look? Bang, he didn't know how to score. Tapping that lad. Hey?
Did he, what happened to him? Didn't he have like a bit of a...
I think he
may have careers towards the end.
He went. Did he go to Everton and then he went to? He ended up at Salford at one point, didn't he? I think he was Sunderland as well. I think he had a little bit of. He might have had some issues off the pitch.
Was Gibson one of the ones when United used to have that feeder club in Belgium, wasn't it?
Yeah, Royal Antwerp. Yeah, I think he was. But I remember him playing against Bayern Munich and scoring that typical Darren Gibson goal from like 25 yards or whatever. But it just didn't quite work out for him in the way that he hoped he was. He was one of those as well. I think a lot of fans didn't rate him. Magic Glove says, as a defender's job, Maguire did well, but he was at fault for our crap play. As soon as he got the ball, he stood on it, hoping the Villa would forget they are playing football. I mean, to be fair to Maguire, he got man of the match. I probably wouldn't, or player of the match, should say. I wouldn't give it him. I'd probably give it Diogo Dalot. But I thought he was, it wasn't like ridiculous that he got it, because I think the stats backed him up as being one of our most effective players in terms of all his defensive rankings. Was like he was first, and he got an assist as well. I don't think Maguire's anywhere near as good as Mainoo's on the ball, but he can do his job. People forget as well, like this sort of revisionism around Harry Maguire, that he's this terrible footballer that's always been crap. He's not, and he hasn't. Like, we overpaid for him. I get that, but there was a reason we got him. Like, there was a reason he was wanted by Pep as well when he was at Leicester. He was having a very, very good season and a half, whatever it was, 2 seasons there. Obviously did well for England. And even when he was at United for the first season and a half, we finished 3rd and 2nd, and he was a big part of that. I don't think there's a massive question about whether he's got that ability. I just think he's not quite as good as
he just lacks the extra sort of stuff that Martinez offers, doesn't he, as a centre back.
Martinez, he's just so good. Santa Notch says Darren Gibson a late sub when Vidic pissed on Gabby's chips in 2010. That'll do for me. Luke Powell says, Maguire loves the club, plays for the badge. Sometimes you need that to win. Chris McMahon says, we've only lost 2 league games when Varane and Maguire have started together. Mark Ennie says, Onana was player of the match. First time I've seen him catch a ball. It felt like the game against Villa was a bit sort of all the players that have been criticised, all the players that have had a lot of stick. It was like their moment to silence some of those
redemption.
Critics. Yeah, redemption, because Onana's had his fair share of critics. Thought he had a very good game. Maguire's had his fair share of critics. He got player of the match. Delot's had his critics. I thought he did really well. McTominay's had his critics, even despite the goals. He gets another big goal. So it felt like a little bit like a reminder that some of these players, sometimes they get criticism that's warranted, and this isn't MUTV, and on Paddock, we will criticise players when they don't think they play well, just like we do on this channel. But sometimes that criticism can be a bit OTT, can't it?
No, it certainly can. And it's been a bit of a strange season, really, because if you look at the squad that we had when we started, it's the ones that were on the periphery or the ones that were looking like might be getting sold that by and large have had more of an impact on this season than the likes of your Fernandes, your Rashford. The players like Casemiro, they're not injuries, performances haven't been brilliant. But if you look at the Maguires and McTominays, Dalot, these are players that you're thinking maybe they'll go in the summer, and I would say most of them have had more consistent good games than a lot of the others.
I think you make a good point. Now I will ask you a question, right? Would you respect Erik ten Hag more if, when Mason Mount comes back from injury, he doesn't play him, he doesn't start him, or less.
What do you think? Mason Mount should walk back into that team?
Absolutely not. I'm asking you though. Would you question the manager if you think, well, you spent 55 million quid on a player we could have got for free in the summer and you're not even playing him? Or would you think you pick your strongest team and he ain't in it?
I think that he picks his strongest team and it's evident as to what that is at the moment. And then should there be an injury or, bring him into the team later on. But I think it'd be absolutely ludicrous to change that centre midfield, which is probably the unit that is working the best at Manchester United at the moment, and we've not been able to say that for a long time.
I agree. Don't forget to hit like, by the way, people. I always forget to ask. Hit that like, it'll help us in the old algorithm. No, I agree. I think some people might look at it and go, you spent 50 odd million on Mason Mount. You spent 80 million or whatever it was on Anthony. You're not starting either of them. What's wrong with you? You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing in the transfer market. But my point would be, I think he needs to be that strong. Eric Ten Hag, he needs to go.
Yeah.
I might have bought these players. A, it's a squad game anyway, so not everyone has to start all the time. B, we do get injuries, and if anything happens to, say, Bruno, I know Bruno don't get injuries, that's a bad example, but if anything happens to one of my other midfielders, then I can always bring in Mason Mount, or like you say, you can come off the bench or whatever, and you need options.
Yeah. Ten Hag obviously wanted them players, and we've mentioned it loads of times, whereas he wasn't the reason why Anthony cost 80 million or why Mason Mount ended up cost 55 million, but he wanted these players. But if they're not doing the job, it's his responsibility to say, right, well, they're not good enough, they're not playing. And just go like, right, well, it was a collective balls up. Anthony isn't the player that he was when I was managing him at Ajax. He can't do it in the Premier League. Not my fault, but we paid so much for him. That was the old people upstairs. And, because what's the flip side of it is, though, he has faith in players that haven't shown any evidence that can save that man's job. And now I think it is coming down towards it that you're like, well, it's working at the moment. Why would you change it?
Tactics Gaming says, we didn't buy Mount to sit on the bench. We didn't, but you might have to. I think if you go, look, like you're saying, this is my best team, and he ain't in it.
We're only playing on two fronts now. Do you know what I mean?
Just like there's no Europe, is there? Whitterbird says, but it's been reported that Ten Hag didn't pick Mason, hasn't it? No, I think he did. I think he knew him from his time at Vitesse Arnhem. So that's why we went for him, because he was free in the summer, and we could have. I mean, you didn't know he was going to get injured and be out for.
We didn't know Scotty Mainoo was going to be.
Scotty Mainoo. I think Scotty Mainoo might have even. No, he wasn't. Was Scotty Mainoo fit when we bought Mason Mount? I can't remember. But like you say, we didn't know for definite.
Yeah, because Mason Mount came to America, wasn't it?
I can't remember. I mean, I was there. I remember Cobby Mount.
Yeah, because he got injured, didn't he?
I remember that game. I was at that Madrid game in Houston where he got injured. It was devastating, that, because I wanted to see him put Jude Bellingham in his back pocket like he'd done with Declan Rice the week before. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Well, tactic gaming saying, I get that, but it won't improve about game time. It's a rocking and hard place, though, and I just feel that this manager is going to get judged at where we are at the end of the season. I think he'll get judged more on the results of where we are at the end of the season rather than whether he's used the players.
Yeah, Mason Mount's minutes aren't going to save his job.
I think he's going to have to be a bit ruthless, bit like, I know I keep going back to this example, but Pep Guardiola made a big song and dance about replacing Joe Hart. He brings in Claudio Bravo, who was a bit of a disaster at City, wasn't he? Yeah. So he buys Edison. And, you City kick on a bit. I know they did well, like they won the league, didn't they? I think they won the league with Claudio Bravo, didn't they? But he realises that he's not that guy. So I think he's got to be he's got to be tough like that. Tyler Wood says, Mount will need plenty of game time to get match fitness, lots of sub appearance. Eric Ten Hag has time before selection becomes a problem. That's a good point. Robert Tate says 2 for each position. Garner and Rashford on the left, Mount and Anthony on the right. I don't know. I think Garnacho on the right works, me.
Yeah, I do.
Do you know what I mean? I think he's been really impressive. Do you get much optimism with what's going on at Manchester United in a minute? We've got this new part ownership. We've got these plans for the future. Cobby Mainoo looks like he's the real deal.
Yep.
We've already got Garnacho, obviously. We knew about he's doing well. And obviously Rasmus Hojlund's equally.
If you look at them three, a lot of people were talking about the Trinity and all that sort of stuff. Like, you're probably getting ahead of ourselves, but
when you say a lot of people, that's people like me, innit?
Yeah,
you're being kind that way.
Yeah. But yeah, if you look at them three as some sort of foundation to build on, there's loads of stuff to get optimistic about, and it'd be interesting in the summer to see what this Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to do, because at the moment whether it's a PR campaign and he's doing all the right things behind the scenes at Carrington and meeting Kath on reception and stuff. Do you know what I mean? He's doing everything.
It's tappings, isn't
it? But he didn't have to do that.
No.
Like he's doing everything the Glazers hadn't done in the 15, 17 years since they were there. So I think there's enough to be optimistic about. But I think what's going to happen in the summer will be interesting, come the end of the Euros, and will we have a transfer fee? Who will have to go? Because we'll have to sell players to get people in. How many hundreds of millions are we going to get for Anthony Martial? Is he going on free?
Yeah, he'll be free.
So we're not going to make any money on him?
No.
Bastard.
The money that we'll make in the summer could come from, if we do sell Scott McTominay, because he's a homegrown player, so it's all profit.
And his premium is probably gone up as well.
I don't know if he will or not, but he might go, look, I'm not going to sit on the bench forever. Or I might go, look, I need money to buy players that are going to start for me. I think Mason Greenwood, if we sell him, will be worth something. His star's probably risen a little bit in Spain because he's had some good performances. And also, again, he's an academy player, so it's all profit.
Yeah.
So in terms of FFP, if you sell Mason Greenwood for 40 million, that's the same as selling Antony for 100 million, isn't it?
Because of the
margin. The margin and the profit you gain. So those two, Maguire less so, because even if you sell him for whatever, let's say you're not going to get loads because I think he's 29 in as well.
Yeah.
He's not a young man anymore. Well, he's a young man, but he's not in football terms. Let's say you sell him for 25 million. It's like, well, you spent 80 on him, so it's not really.
And that's the thing as well.
FFP.
So if we do get rid of the number of players that we're expecting to in the summer, next season again could be a huge transition. Do you know what I mean? Because you're going to have to bring new players in again to sort of build in different areas. But as it stands, the midfield for me is looking as solid as it has at any time post Fergie. Rasmus up front as well is brilliant to see there. Hopefully Rashford starts performing once more. Garnacho again. I think I'm very optimistic for the future, but there's a lot of stuff to do.
No, I agree with that. I think it's a fair comment. Nice to be optimistic, but there is still a long way to go. I'll ask you one question before we get back to Scotty's survey. Are we going to get Champions League football next season? And you'll notice the way I worded that.
Yeah. Can we go, is it top 5?
See, he's not, as daft as you look.
No, top 5.
Yeah,
I think we'll get 5th.
Yeah, and do you think that'll be Champions League?
I just think it's a dip in. I just think, I know we're doing well at the moment. I just think we'll get beat by City and it could just completely knock.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'll look at Villa. I wonder what's going on at Villa. They've had a few wobbly moments, haven't they, recently?
But if they come over it, but they're still in a decent position to have their wobbly moment, I still think we've definitely got another one in us. If Hojlund stops scoring...
Do you think we'll catch them then? If we get 5th, is it Villa you see dropping out of the top 5 rather than Spurs? Because Arsenal, City and Liverpool aren't going anywhere, are they?
Unfortunately not.
Right, so going back to Scotty's survey,
Yep.
At the beginning of this podcast, Scotty asked me the question.
It was if there was going to be a football version of Space Jam, so we're going to remove the basketball, and it's going to be a footballer in the shoes of LeBron James or Michael Jordan.
Yeah, can we say Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
LeBron James.
We've got like young watchers and stuff.
I know. I mean, bloody hell.
All right. Well, Michael Jordan's Air Jordans. We're going to have Adidas Predators in there. I suppose Beckham would probably be an easy one for the time.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. The thing with basketball is like Michael Jordan transcended basketball. That he was like almost not.
When your mum knows who Michael Jordan is,
sport, yeah, exactly. Most people, especially in the UK, couldn't name you any basketball players other than Michael Jordan. Like he's the one that everyone knows. Where obviously football's a bit different. I feel like the two biggest names in football are obviously still Ronaldo and Messi, aren't they? I know they're both sort of on the way out. Yeah, but I don't see neither of them having the personality.
God's sake, can you imagine that with the shittest film?
I know. I mean, like
God, they are brilliant footballers, but I swear to God, they're like the Rivita personalities, aren't they?
Yeah.
Dry.
If you could have anyone from any era, I think Maradona would be a good shot.
Maradona. Oh.
Right. Imagine him doing that space bing.
There you go. Space bing. And then you could have like the remake with George Best. That needs to be a cartoon in itself, doesn't it? Anyway, next week's Scottish survey, I'll give you a week. Who would you go out with on the lash if you was back in your heyday?
Which footballer?
Yeah, would you go out with Maradona?
Yeah.
Or would you go out with George Best? Which one would you go out with on the top?
That's a good question. That Do you know what? I'd probably go with Bester.
Would you really?
Yeah. Do you know why?
Go on.
Because I know like Maradona's obviously going to get you the kind of drugs that you weren't getting in Manchester when I was on it. But I feel like Maradona is a bit too dangerous for me. Like hanging around with the mafia, like always up to like a little bit violent as well. There's always I feel like I'll be looking over my shoulder, and I feel like I might get paranoid as well because I'll be having a load of that. Yeah. And I think with Bester, he's just you're going out, you're getting on
fisticuffs in the pub, innit?
Yeah, and it's old school. He's just getting levered and loads of Miss Worlds hanging around him. He'd be alright. It'd be a good laugh for me.
Yeah, I'd go Diego definitely.
Would you?
Oh yeah. George Best be a weekend, that'd be a month with Diego, wouldn't it?
Oh, sorry. Orin Moore says, Jay, been watching you for years and you've got to meet through college. About to move to Warsaw for a few months and no doubt you'll be getting me through that too. Stay based. Thank you, my brother. I am UFC says, George Best, just imagine the women. Lee New says, Maradona probably saw the Looney Tunes characters every day from about 1985 onwards. I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, I think that's a good place to end. I've enjoyed that. Big thank you to producer Alexei. Thank you to my brother Scotty. I've been Motty. Don't forget, if you're not doing, in fact, hit like, share and subscribe. And also, I'm going to put a little cheeky link to our Patreon in here as well. Yeah. Because we're putting more content on Patreon, some exclusive as well, Patreon-only content. So extra stuff on Patreon. You've got Agony Uncles coming up this week on this channel. We're putting extra content on Patreon. We appreciate your support as well. If you're not doing, make sure you're subscribing to the channel. That's been Scotty. I've been Motty. Thanks for watching.